Olivia, after 14 years with Brand Core Solutions, we're restructuring your role, Claire Reynolds announced, her voice carrying an unmistakable note of satisfaction that made my stomach tighten. She sat across from me at the corner table of Westfield Cafe, an upscale coffee shop just a block from our office. The morning bustle of business people around us created the illusion of privacy in public. Vanessa Mitchell from HR flanked her, both women clutching designer lattes while wearing what I recognized as their carefully rehearsed expressions of corporate sympathy. The company is evolving its marketing approach, Vanessa added with practiced precision, sliding a cream-colored folder across the polished wooden table. Your contributions have been valuable, but we're integrating the analytics division under the digital marketing team. You know, fresh perspectives. Her emphasis on fresh wasn't subtle. I nodded thoughtfully, accepting the folder without opening it, feeling the weight of its contents, my professional execution papers. My fingers traced the embossed company logo while my mind raced ahead. Inside would be the standard severance package, 2 weeks for every year of service, continued health coverage for 3 months, and a list of career counseling resources I would never use. 14 years of loyalty distilled into a sterile stack of legal documents. I completely understand, I replied, my voice steady despite the wave of indignation rising within me. These decisions are never easy, especially when they involve someone with my track record. I took a deliberate sip of my untouched coffee, noting how the bitter taste matched the moment perfectly. Relief washed over their faces like a tide. Claire's shoulders relaxed a fraction while Vanessa's pen stopped its nervous tapping against her notepad. They'd clearly expected tears, protests, or anger, the stereotypical emotional response from a woman being pushed aside. After all, I was a 53-year-old marketing director being discarded in an industry increasingly obsessed with youth and digital natives. What they couldn't see was the cold calculation behind my composed exterior, a plan set in motion weeks ago when a misdirected email thread had appeared in my inbox with the subject line Transition Plan OH. Position. We'd like you to complete the handover by Friday, Claire continued, gaining confidence from my apparent acceptance. Her French manicured nails drummed a victory beat on her leather portfolio. We'll need your building access card, company laptop, and phone before you leave. Your team will be informed this afternoon at the departmental stand-up. My team. 6 brilliant marketing specialists I had personally recruited, trained, and mentored over the years. The same team that had helped me develop the revolutionary customer segmentation model that now powered BrandCore's flagship product suite, used by over 40% of Fortune 500 marketing departments. Their faces flashed through my mind, Noah's analytical brilliance, Sophia's creative insights, the way they'd all trusted me to guide their careers. Of course, I said, rising from my chair, the scrape of wood against tile floor punctuating my response. Is there anything else you need from me? My voice remained professional, giving away nothing of the storm brewing inside. They exchanged uncertain glances, visibly thrown by my composure. Claire recovered first, tucking a strand of perfectly highlighted hair behind her ear. That's all for now. Thank you for making this professional. I know transitions can be emotional. Emotional? No, I replied with a thin smile. This is business, Claire. I've always understood the difference. As I walked back toward the office building, leather tote swinging at my side, I passed the glass-walled conference room where the executive team was meeting. Through the transparent barrier, I could see CEO Bradley Wilson gesturing animatedly at a presentation titled Brand Reinvention Strategy. The same Bradley Wilson who had presented my customer segmentation model at last year's National Marketing Summit, referring to me only as one of our analytics team members while collecting the Industry Innovation Award on the company's behalf. I entered my office and quietly closed the door, leaning against it for a moment as I took a deep breath. The framed marketing awards on my wall seemed to mock me now, recognition that had never translated to true respect. With steady hands, I pulled out my personal phone and sent a single text message: "It's happened. Friday is my last day." The response came almost immediately from James: "Perfect timing. Contracts are ready. Dinner tonight to finalize details, 7 p.m. at Vino Azure." A sense of vindication warmed my chest as I looked at the calendar on my desk. Today was Wednesday. Friday I would walk out of Brand Core Solutions for the last time, and Monday would fundamentally reshape the industry landscape. That evening, I met James Fletcher at Vino Azure, a sophisticated wine bar tucked away in the suburbs, far from the corporate downtown where Brand Core maintained its gleaming headquarters. As the CEO of Market Edge, Brand Core's most formidable competitor, James understood the value of discretion. He'd reserved a private booth in the back, secluded from curious eyes by artfully positioned wine racks and ambient lighting that created the perfect atmosphere for confidential conversations. "They actually went through with it," James said, shaking his head after we ordered, his expression a mixture of disbelief and opportunity. The crystal wineglass caught the light as he swirled a robust Cabernet. "I suspected they might, but to cut loose the very person who revolutionized their entire market approach, it's both shocking and the least surprising thing I've heard this year." "Bradley never truly understood what I created," I replied, taking a measured sip of my Bordeaux blend, savoring its complexity. "He saw the dashboard interface, the colorful reports, the immediate client interest. But the underlying analytical architecture, the predictive modeling that makes it all possible, that was just marketing mumbo-jumbo to him." I couldn't keep the edge from my voice, years of dismissals and minimizations crystallizing into sharp clarity. The irony was exquisite in its perfection. 3 months ago, I discovered the copyright and patent applications for my customer segmentation model had never been properly filed by Brand Core's legal team. An oversight, they'd claimed when I inquired, with reassurances they'd handle it immediately. But something in their evasive responses had set off warning bells, prompting me to dig through the company's internal documentation. That's when I found it, a strategy memo outlining plans to claim the segmentation system as company-developed methodology without specific inventor attribution. They'd planned to push me out before securing proper legal protection, operating under the assumption that all creative work belonged to the company. What Brand Core failed to realize was that I'd already been working on significant enhancements to the model on my own time, using my personal equipment in my home office. These improvements, which increased customer conversion predictions by a validated 37%, weren't covered by my employment agreement. With meticulous care, I'd documented every hour spent on these enhancements, maintaining comprehensive timestamps and development logs that clearly established the work was completed outside of company time. I'd quietly filed for copyright and patent protection under my own name last month, evidence in hand. The applications had been processed with remarkable efficiency, thanks to James's introduction to a top-tier intellectual property attorney who specialized in marketing analytics protection. "All the paperwork is finalized," James said, now sliding a leather portfolio across the polished table. "Once you sign, Market Edge officially acquires exclusive licensing rights to your segmentation model and methodology. The press release goes out Monday morning, announcing you as our new Chief Marketing Innovation Officer." I reviewed the documents carefully, though I'd already committed the key terms to memory: a substantial signing bonus that acknowledged my true market value, equity in Market Edge that gave me real ownership stake, and ongoing royalties from all campaigns and products using my segmentation model. This wasn't just a job offer, it was recognition of my intellectual contribution to the industry. The candlelight caught the gold of my fountain pen as I positioned it over the signature line, feeling the weight of 14 years and countless undervalued contributions in my hand. Continuing at the wine bar, what do you think Bradley's face will look like when he realizes what's happened? James asked, unable to hide the gleam of satisfaction in his eyes. He leaned forward, elbows on the dark wooden table, the ambient lighting casting dramatic shadows across his face. I'm more concerned about my team, I admitted, running my finger along the stem of my wine glass. Noah, Sophia, and the others, they don't deserve to be caught in the fallout. They've all worked incredibly hard, only to be undervalued by the same management that's discarding me. James nodded, his expression turning serious. Already addressed. We've created positions for all 6 of them at Market Edge, if they're interested. Senior roles with expanded responsibilities and significant raises, about 20% above their current compensation packages. I've had the HR team prepare the offer letters discreetly. The tension I'd been carrying in my shoulders eased slightly. They're brilliant marketers. You won't regret it. I know talent when I see it, James replied. Unlike some people we know. I signed the final page with a flourish and closed the leather portfolio, feeling a profound sense of satisfaction as the pen made its final mark. The contract wasn't just paper, it was vindication, tangible proof that my work had value beyond what Brand Corps had been willing to acknowledge. To new beginnings, James said, raising his wine glass, the ruby liquid catching the light. And to owning your own value, I added, a warmth spreading through my chest as our glasses clinked together. The sound resonated with a finality that felt like closing one chapter and opening another, one where I was the author, not merely a character. Thursday and Friday passed in a whirlwind of exit procedures, knowledge transfer meetings, and carefully worded goodbyes. I maintained impeccable professional composure throughout, even as whispers and speculation spread across the office like wildfire. Administrative assistants gave me sympathetic glances in the hallways, their eyes following me with a mixture of pity and curiosity. Junior marketing associates approached awkwardly in the break room, nervously asking if I'd provide LinkedIn recommendations before I departed. Of course, I assured one particularly anxious young woman whose marketing copy I had mentored. Your talent deserves recognition, regardless of company politics. Her grateful smile highlighted the absurdity of discarding experienced mentors for the sake of fresh perspectives. I documented everything meticulously during the handover, every campaign strategy, every client relationship, every analytics password, every process workflow, filling 3 comprehensive binders with color-coded tabs. This wasn't generosity, it was calculated evidence. Proof that I had acted in good faith while the company had not. Each page was dated and initialed, creating an irrefutable record of my professional conduct right up to my final hour. During my exit interview on Friday afternoon, Vanessa from HR went through her standard checklist with robotic efficiency, her eyes rarely meeting mine as she checked boxes on her tablet. You understand that any intellectual property developed during your employment remains the property of Brand Corps Solutions, she stated in her corporate monotone, pushing a non-disclosure agreement across the polished conference table. Of course, I replied pleasantly, my smile never reaching my eyes. Anything developed within the scope of my employment, using company resources, during company time. I emphasized those 3 qualifiers deliberately, watching for any reaction, but Vanessa was too preoccupied with completing her form to notice the carefully placed landmines in my statement. She glanced up briefly. And you affirm you have no copies of proprietary company information? I have taken nothing that belongs to Brand Corps, I confirmed truthfully, maintaining direct eye contact. The patents and copyrights were legally mine, after all. My hand remained steady as I signed the final document, the ink flowing smoothly as I thought about the carefully documented hours I'd spent developing my enhanced model on my personal laptop at my kitchen table. As I packed the personal items from my desk, framed photos of my son's college graduation, a collection of marketing award trophies spanning 14 years, the personalized coffee mug my team had given me last Christmas with Data Queen emblazoned on it, Claire stopped by, leaning against my doorframe with artificial casualness, her designer outfit carefully selected to project authority. "Just wanted to check that everything's clear for your departure," she said, watching me place items into a cardboard box branded with the company logo. Her voice carried that false cheerfulness people adopt when they're uncomfortable but trying to maintain control. "Crystal clear," I replied evenly, carefully wrapping a crystal award I'd received for the very segmentation model now at the center of my strategic plans. The delicious irony wasn't lost on me as I placed it between layers of tissue paper. "You know, Olivia, these organizational shifts are never personal," Claire continued, fidgeting with her statement bracelet. "Bradley feels the company needs to move in a more youthful direction. The digital landscape is changing so quickly these days." I looked up, meeting her gaze directly, my expression neutral but unflinching. "I understand completely, Claire. Business is business. Young or old, we're all just entries on a spreadsheet eventually." Something in my tone made her pause, uncertainty flickering across her expertly made-up face before she quickly dismissed it. What could a soon-to-be unemployed 53-year-old woman possibly do to a company as established as Brandcore? "Will you be taking some time off?" she asked, an artificial note of concern in her voice that couldn't mask her relief at my imminent departure. "Actually, I already have something lined up," I replied, placing my industry achievement plaque in the box. "I start Monday." Surprise crossed her features, her carefully sculpted eyebrows rising slightly. "That's remarkably fast. Anything interesting?" I smiled, a genuine expression for the first time in our conversation. "Very. A leadership position. I'm quite excited about it. The company values experience and proven results." "Oh," she said, clearly caught off guard. "Well, good luck with that." She nodded absently, already mentally moving on to other matters, perhaps calculating how to redistribute my workload without disrupting her own schedule. "Thank you, Claire. I suspect I won't need luck where I'm going, but I appreciate the sentiment." I closed my box with finality. As I walked out of Brandcore's sleek glass headquarters for the last time, access card surrendered and personal belongings balanced in my arms, I paused in the plaza to look back at the building where I'd spent 14 years of my career. On the top floor, I could see the executive conference room lit up for a Friday evening strategy session, silhouettes gesturing around the table, likely discussing how to redistribute my responsibilities among younger, less experienced, and significantly less expensive staff. Little did they know that in less than 72 hours, that same room would be hosting an emergency crisis management meeting instead. Monday morning dawned with perfect clarity, both in the cloudless blue sky and in my sense of purpose. I dressed carefully in my new navy power suit with subtle pinstripes, an outfit I'd purchased specifically for this day, the tailoring impeccable and the fabric quality a notch above what I'd typically worn at Brandcore. I applied my makeup with precision, the woman in the mirror looking confident and formidable. The Market Edge town car arrived precisely at 7:30 a.m., the driver professional and courteous as he held the door. The leather seats were cool and comfortable as we glided through morning traffic toward their headquarters in the prestigious Westview Business District. Today I would begin my role as Chief Marketing Innovation Officer, a title that acknowledged both my creative and strategic contributions. The press release went live at 7 a.m. sharp, James informed me as his executive assistant showed me into my new corner office. The space was impressive, floor-to-ceiling windows offering a commanding view of the city skyline, modern furniture that balanced aesthetics and functionality, and a sleek desktop setup with dual monitors. A tasteful arrangement of flowers sat on the credenza with a welcome card signed by the executive team. James handed me a tablet displaying the announcement. Marketing journals and industry newsletters are already picking it up. I've got the communications team monitoring reactions across all channels. The early responses are exactly what we hoped for. Monday morning continues. The announcement had been crafted with strategic precision, each word carefully chosen for maximum impact. Market Edge acquires exclusive rights to revolutionary customer segmentation methodology. Welcomes creator Olivia Harrison as Chief Marketing Innovation Officer. The press release detailed my background, emphasized my role as the sole developer of the now patented methodology, and outlined how Market Edge would be integrating my segmentation model into their next generation of marketing platforms and client services. Most importantly, it clearly stated that any company currently using the methodology would need to negotiate licensing agreements with Market Edge moving forward, a pointed message aimed directly at one company in particular. At precisely 9:15 a.m., my phone lit up with the first text from my former team at BrandCore. Complete meltdown happening here. The executive floor is in chaos. What did you do? It was from Noah, my senior marketing manager, whose analytical mind had always made him my most trusted lieutenant. I smiled, feeling a warm satisfaction spread through me as I typed back, "Check your personal email. All 6 of you have offers waiting. Competitive packages, senior positions, and a work environment that values experience." Meanwhile, across town at BrandCore's headquarters, the scheduled Monday morning executive meeting was undergoing a dramatic transformation from routine to crisis management. According to Noah's play-by-play updates throughout the morning, Bradley had arrived at the office to find the company's general counsel and chief financial officer waiting outside his corner office, both wearing expressions that Noah described as funeral faces. The industry announcement had hit their inboxes simultaneously with major clients' concerned inquiries, setting off immediate alarms. By 9:30 a.m., what should have been a routine start-of-week revenue projection meeting had morphed into an emergency crisis session. Board members were dialing in remotely, their voices crackling with tension over the speakerphone. The legal team was frantically reviewing my employment contract and scrambling to locate any documentation related to the customer segmentation model's development timeline. "They're pulling every file with your name on it," Noah reported in his next update. "Claire just ordered IT to recover all your archived emails and project documentation. Someone's wheeling in storage boxes from the records room labeled Marketing Analytics 2018 to 2023. Bradley looks like he's about to have a stroke." I could picture the scene perfectly, Bradley pacing the glass-walled conference room in his bespoke suit, his carefully maintained Silver Fox composure cracking as he demanded explanations from Claire and the legal department. His face would be flushed with anger, the vein in his temple pulsing as he realized the implications. The stock would already be responding to the news, investors hated uncertainty, and the announcement had created plenty of it. At 10:45 a.m., my new company email pinged with a message from Bradley himself, the desperation practically emanating from my screen despite his attempt at a casual tone. "Olivia, there appears to be a significant misunderstanding regarding our marketing methodologies. Please call me at your earliest convenience to discuss a mutually beneficial resolution." I forwarded it to Market Edge's legal team without responding, adding only a brief note, "as anticipated." Proceeding as discussed. By noon, the marketing industry was buzzing with speculation across every channel. BrandCore's stock had dropped 9% since the market opened, while Market Edge had seen a 14% increase. 3 different marketing journals had already requested exclusive interviews about the strategic coup that had shaken the digital marketing landscape. My LinkedIn profile had seen over 2,000 views in just 4 hours. "How are you feeling?" James asked, stopping by my office, leaning against the doorframe with a satisfied expression. "Validated," I replied honestly, swiveling in my ergonomic chair to face the city view. 14 years of watching others take credit for my work, of being told I should be grateful just to have a seat at the table because women my age are typically phasing out of the industry. And now, finally, recognition. I couldn't keep the emotion from my voice, not anger, but the profound relief of vindication. James nodded. "Well-deserved recognition. The marketing world is going to be talking about this case study for years." My new executive assistant, Melissa, appeared at the door with a tablet in hand. "Ms. Harrison, the creative team is ready for you in the main conference room for the quarterly strategy presentation." She hesitated, a slight smile playing at her lips. "Also, BrandCore's CEO has called 4 times in the last hour. His assistant sounds increasingly desperate. Please let him know I'm in strategic meetings all day," I replied calmly, gathering my presentation materials. "I'll have our legal team reach out to discuss licensing options later this week. Also, can you order lunch for the team? This meeting might run long." As I walked toward my first strategy meeting as Chief Marketing Innovation Officer, my phone buzzed with another update from Noah. "Emergency board meeting called for 3 p.m. Bradley looks like he's about to pop a blood vessel. Legal team is in full panic mode. P.S. All 6 of us accept your offers. When can we start? This place is becoming unbearable by the minute." Tuesday developments. By Tuesday morning, the full impact of my departure had become painfully clear to everyone at BrandCore. Their flagship marketing suite relied entirely on my segmentation model to deliver the targeted client insights that gave them their competitive edge. Without licensing rights to my patents and copyrights, they faced 2 equally unpalatable options: negotiate with Market Edge for usage rights, or rebuild their core methodology from scratch, a process that would take years and millions in development costs, assuming they could even find the talent capable of replicating it. "Bradley has called an all-hands meeting for 2 p.m., Noah texted just after lunch. It was his last day at BrandCore. He and the rest of my former team would be starting at Market Edge the following Monday. The calendar invitation says company strategy update, but word around the office is they're going to announce legal action against you and Market Edge." Claire's been locked in Bradley's office with the legal team all morning. I forwarded his message to our legal department, who responded almost immediately, as expected. "Let them try. Your documentation is impeccable, development timelines, personal equipment usage logs, off-hours work records, all clearly established and notarized. We've prepared extensively for this scenario." Their posturing is just that, posturing. Meanwhile, I was settling into my new role with remarkable ease, the transition feeling like stepping from shadow into sunlight. The respect I received at Market Edge was a stark contrast to my final years at BrandCore. When I spoke in meetings, people actually took notes. My insights weren't repackaged by younger male colleagues and presented as revolutionary new approaches. My decades of experience were viewed as invaluable assets rather than indicators of obsolescence. "The implementation team is already integrating your enhanced segmentation framework," James informed me during our afternoon briefing in his office overlooking the city skyline. Early testing with focus group data shows a 43% improvement in prediction accuracy for luxury sector clients, even better than we projected in the acquisition proposal. "I had several refinements I never shared with BrandCore," I admitted, unable to suppress a small, satisfied smile. After I discovered that transition plan email thread about my position, I saw no reason to give them my latest innovations. The enhancements to the demographic weighting algorithms alone make the previous version look primitive by comparison. James chuckled appreciatively. Their loss, our gain. That's what happens when companies value youth over substance. He pulled up a report on his tablet and slid it across the desk to me. Speaking of which, the first licensing inquiry came in this morning. Not from Brandcore yet, they're still in denial mode, but from Westfield Group. Their CMO is worried about being caught in the crossfire if they continue using Brandcore's platform. Tuesday developments continue, their loss, our gain, James replied with a self-assured smile, leaning back in his chair. The marketing world changes fast, but experience still matters. Speaking of which, the business development team has already received 3 licensing inquiries since this morning. Not from Brandcore yet, they're still in denial phase, but from competitors like Westfield Group and Vision Media. They're worried about legal exposure if they continue using methodologies that might infringe on our newly acquired patents. At 3:30 p.m., Noah sent a detailed account of Bradley's all-hands meeting, complete with timestamps and direct quotes. The CEO had tried desperately to project confidence, striding around the presentation area in his expensive Italian suit, assuring the staff that Brandcore would vigorously defend our proprietary marketing methodology that has been core to our success. But according to Noah, the anxiety in the room had been thick enough to cut with a knife. Several employees had already quietly updated their LinkedIn profiles, sensing the company's vulnerability. You should have seen Claire's face, Noah reported. She turned ghost white when someone from the analytics team asked point-blank if they'd failed to secure proper copyright and patent protection. Bradley stumbled through some corporate jargon about ongoing legal protections and then abruptly ended the Q&A. People were whispering in the hallways before the meeting even finished. Wednesday developments. By Wednesday, the industry fallout had intensified dramatically, spreading across marketing circles like wildfire. 3 major clients, including a Fortune 100 retailer, had contacted Market Edge directly about switching from Brandcore's platform, expressing concerns about service continuity without the methodology's creator at the helm. Our stock had risen another 11% by closing bell, while Brandcore's continued its steady decline, triggering automatic trading circuit breakers twice during the day. Shortly after lunch, my assistant notified me of an incoming call from Brandcore. "It's Vanessa Mitchell from HR," she said with a knowing look. The same woman who had slid my severance package across the table with mechanical efficiency just days earlier was now requesting to speak with me personally. I took a deep breath and accepted the call, putting it on speaker. "This is Olivia Harrison." "Olivia," she began, her voice carefully modulated to project professional calm, though I could detect the underlying tension. "I'm calling to discuss the, situation with your customer segmentation methodology. We believe there may have been a misunderstanding about ownership rights and intellectual property developed during your tenure." "I don't think there's any misunderstanding, Vanessa," I replied evenly, absently smoothing the sleeve of my silk blouse. "My employment agreement clearly states that intellectual property developed on my own time, using my personal resources, remains mine exclusively. The copyright and patent documentation confirms precisely that timeline and ownership." My attorneys were quite thorough. There was a brief pause, the sound of papers shuffling. "Bradley was hoping you might consider coming in personally to discuss options. Perhaps over lunch? He mentioned your favorite restaurant, Maison Azure?" The transparent attempt at appealing to personal connection almost made me laugh. Bradley wouldn't know my favorite restaurant if his life depended on it. "Any discussions would need to go through Market Edge's legal department now," I responded coolly. I'm sure they'd be happy to set up a meeting to discuss licensing terms. I believe our chief counsel has already reached out with preliminary options. The silence on the other end spoke volumes about the state of panic at brand core. Finally, Vanessa sighed, the sound of defeat unmistakable even through the phone line. I'll pass that along. That afternoon, I led my first formal presentation to MarketEdge's board of directors, outlining our marketing innovation roadmap with my segmentation methodology as its centerpiece. The boardroom was impressive modernist design with actual artwork on the walls, not the generic corporate prints brand core favored. As I stood confidently at the head of the polished table, not relegated to the middle seats as I had been at brand core, I caught James's approving nod from the opposite end. The migration path for existing clients will be seamless, I explained, clicking through my meticulously designed presentation slides. And the enhanced demographic weighting system will dramatically improve conversion rates across all market sectors, particularly in the luxury and financial services verticals where traditional approaches have struggled. The board members leaned forward, engaged and attentive in a way I hadn't experienced in years. No one was checking phones or whispering to neighbors. They were actually listening to a woman over 50 with decades of marketing expertise. The novelty of it almost made me stumble mid-sentence. Friday developments. By Friday, just 1 week after I had walked out of brand core's glass doors for the last time, the company had entered full crisis mode. Their stock had plummeted 26% from Monday's opening bell, triggering automatic calls from major investors and prompting an emergency shareholder call. Industry analysts were publishing increasingly dire assessments with headlines like "Can brand core survive the segmentation crisis?" and "How one strategic blunder may fundamentally reshape the digital marketing landscape." Through my extensive industry network, relationships cultivated over decades that Bradley had never appreciated, I learned that Bradley had finally acknowledged the severity of the situation to the board in a closed-door session that reportedly involved significant shouting. Brand core would need to either license my segmentation methodology from MarketEdge, likely at premium rates that would devastate their profit margins, or undertake a complete rebuild of their analytics framework without using any methodology covered by my patents and copyrights. They've started recruiting a new analytics team, Noah informed me during our Friday video call, where we discussed his team's upcoming transition to MarketEdge. His home office backdrop featured half-packed, moving boxes. Bradley's making wild claims that they can recreate the entire segmentation framework in 4 months. The marketing director from their Tokyo office actually laughed out loud on the global call. I couldn't help but laugh myself, the absurdity too rich to contain. The original methodology took me 3 years to develop and test properly, and that was with intimate knowledge of the market variables and data architecture. Exactly, Noah agreed, his expression a mixture of amusement and vindication. Nobody with any technical knowledge is believing the timeline, especially after all 6 of us submitted our resignations simultaneously yesterday. The knowledge exodus is catastrophic for them. Claire had to excuse herself from the management meeting when she heard we were all leaving together. That afternoon, brand core's outside counsel finally reached out to MarketEdge to initiate dialogue about potential licensing arrangements. The email's tone was noticeably different from Bradley's earlier message, formal, direct, and devoid of the condescending familiarity he typically employed. Our legal team, following the strategy we had meticulously developed, responded with terms that were technically fair but strategically devastating, 3 times the standard industry licensing rate, plus a public acknowledgement of my role as the methodology's original creator. They'll fight the acknowledgement far more than the cost, James predicted as we reviewed the response in his corner office, the city skyline darkening into twilight behind him. Bradley's ego won't allow him to publicly admit he pushed out the very person who created their core competitive advantage. His entire leadership persona is built around being the visionary who drives innovation. Then they'll have to rebuild from scratch, I replied, feeling oddly calm about the company's impending struggle. And every day they spend trying to replicate my work is another day we extend our lead in the market. The following Monday morning, 10 days after my unceremonious dismissal over expensive lattes, I led the first innovation strategy meeting with my newly assembled team, which included Noah, Sophia, and the other 4 marketing specialists from Brand Core. The energy in our sleek conference room was electric, a palpable sense of possibility and validation that had been absent in our previous workplace. "This is how strategy meetings should be," commented Sophia, her eyes bright with enthusiasm as she reviewed the preliminary market research results. At Brand Core, we spent half our time explaining basic marketing concepts to executives who were too busy checking their phones to actually listen. "That's the fundamental difference," I replied, looking around at the engaged faces of my team. "Between being valued as experts and being seen as replaceable resources. Here, your expertise isn't just recognized, it's the foundation of our competitive advantage." Leadership changes. As we wrapped up the productive session, Melissa appeared at the conference room door, her expression indicating important news. "Ms. Harrison, there's been a significant development at Brand Core. Their board just announced an emergency leadership change. Bradley Wilson is stepping down as CEO, effective immediately." The news rippled through our meeting room like an electric current. I maintained my composure, but couldn't help the flutter of vindication in my chest. Actions, as they say, have consequences. The news spread through the marketing industry like wildfire. Within hours, trade publications and business journals were reporting that Brand Core's board had lost confidence in Bradley's leadership following the intellectual property oversight that had threatened the company's flagship marketing platform. Claire Reynolds was also out, along with the head of legal who had failed to properly secure copyright and patent protections for my methodology. That evening, as I sat in my home office reviewing candidate profiles for our expanding analytics team, I received an unexpected email. The sender, Daniel Morrison, Brand Core's newly appointed interim CEO. Unlike Bradley's desperate message from the previous week, this one was straightforward, professional, and notably respectful. "Ms. Harrison, congratulations on your well-deserved new position. I've been brought in to help Brand Core navigate the current situation and chart a more sustainable path forward. I'd like to discuss a fair licensing arrangement for your patented segmentation methodology. We're prepared to acknowledge your contributions publicly and make appropriate amends for the oversights of previous management. Would you be available to meet next week to discuss terms in person?" I forwarded the email to James, adding a simple note, "Phase 1 complete." His reply came within minutes, beautifully executed. "The board is celebrating your first major victory for Market Edge. Looks like Brand Core is finally learning an expensive lesson about valuing experience and innovation. This is just the beginning." 3 months later, 3 months after my departure from Brand Core, I sat on the stage at the National Marketing Innovation Summit, preparing to deliver the keynote address. The grand ballroom was filled with industry leaders, marketing journalists, brand strategists, and ambitious young professionals, many of whom now knew my story. The buzz of conversation had a certain electricity to it. People weren't just here for marketing insights, they were here to see the woman who had upended an industry giant. "And now I'm pleased to introduce our keynote speaker," the conference organizer announced, her voice carrying through the sophisticated sound system. "Olivia Harrison, Chief Marketing Innovation Officer at Market Edge and creator of the revolutionary customer segmentation methodology that has transformed targeted marketing across multiple industries." The applause was substantial and sustained as I approached the podium, the spotlight warm on my face. What a difference a few months could make. Last year, I had attended this same conference as part of the brand core delegation, seated in the back row while Bradley gave a self-congratulatory presentation about his company's marketing innovations, including my segmentation model, which he'd referred to only as our proprietary analytics framework. "Thank you," I began, surveying the attentive faces before me, many lit by the blue glow of recording devices. "Today, I want to talk about innovation, ownership, and the importance of properly valuing intellectual contributions, regardless of where or whom they come from." My presentation detailed the technical aspects of my segmentation methodology, with compelling case studies showing real-world applications, but also addressed the broader issues of recognition and respect in the marketing sector. Without directly mentioning brand core, I emphasized the importance of companies nurturing and protecting their innovators rather than treating them as interchangeable or, worse, disposable resources. Age brings perspective, experience brings wisdom, and diversity brings innovation, I concluded. When companies fail to recognize that, they don't just lose talent, they lose their future. Afterward, during the networking reception, several young women marketing professionals approached me seeking advice and mentorship. One of them, perhaps 30, with bright eyes and ambitious energy, confided, "Your story changed how I approach my work. I've started documenting all my creative processes and keeping detailed logs of campaign development done on personal time." "Smart move," I replied, genuinely pleased to have made such an impact. "Your innovations deserve protection, and so do you." As the evening concluded, I checked my phone to find an industry news alert that made me smile. Brand Core had finally announced the licensing agreement with Market Edge, acknowledging me by name as the original creator of their segmentation methodology. Their stock had stabilized after weeks of volatility, though at a significantly lower valuation than before my departure. 1 year later, 1 year to the day after being told to clean out my desk over coffee, I sat in my expansive office at Market Edge, reviewing the quarterly innovation report. The afternoon sun streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, casting a golden glow over the space I had made my own, with modern art on the walls and a small collection of industry awards on my credenza. Under my leadership, the company had released 3 groundbreaking marketing platforms built on my segmentation model, capturing significant market share from Brand Core and other competitors. A knock at my door interrupted my analysis. James entered with a vintage bottle of champagne and 2 crystal flutes. "Happy anniversary," he said, setting the glasses on my desk with a warm smile. "The board asked me to share this news with you personally before the public announcement tomorrow morning. Market Edge has officially surpassed Brand Core in market valuation for the first time in company history. Your leadership has been the defining factor." I smiled, feeling not triumph, but a profound sense of validation and quiet satisfaction. That's what happens when you value experience and innovation properly. When you recognize that creativity doesn't expire at 40. As James poured the champagne, Melissa arrived with a sleek cream envelope on a silver tray. Inside was an elegant invitation to deliver the opening address at Women in Marketing's annual Leadership Summit. The topic, Owning Your Intellectual Value, How Proper Documentation Changed an Industry. "You've become something of an icon in marketing circles," James commented, noticing the invitation. The story of the executive who didn't recognize what he had until it was gone has become a cautionary tale taught in business schools. I heard Harvard Business Review is doing a case study. Daniel Morrison, who had remained as Brand Core's CEO after stabilizing the crisis, had implemented sweeping changes in how the company recognized and rewarded innovation. Their new creative rights protection program and talent retention initiatives were reportedly modeled after the framework I had established at Market Edge, a framework that valued expertise regardless of age or gender. "It was never about revenge," I said, raising my glass in a toast, the afternoon light catching the bubbles in a cascade of tiny prisms. It was about recognition. About showing the industry that innovation isn't anonymous or ageless. It comes from real people with real experience who deserve real credit. To proper recognition, James agreed, clinking his glass against mine. And to the wisdom that comes with experience. As we sipped the champagne, I took a moment to reflect on my journey. At 54, I had finally found what had eluded me throughout my career, not just success, but acknowledgement. My name was now permanently attached to the methodology that had transformed an industry, exactly where it belonged. More importantly, I had created a path for others to follow, women who wouldn't have to fight quite as hard for the recognition they deserved. The setting sun cast long shadows across my office, but unlike a year ago, I faced the future with nothing but light ahead.